Oh, I completely botched the mic there. Okay. Anyways, and what is up with it, everybody? Welcome to Woolley Mammoth Wednesdays, live from the studios of WIUR at the La Penta Student Union at Iona University. It's Woolley Mammoth Wednesdays. I am your host, Cameron Woolley, bringing you the best and only the best sports on campus. So, guess the elephant in the room here, the big story of the day. Despite the fact that I am wearing a New Jersey Devils jersey, the big story today: Tom Brady, allegedly, according to his social media from his mouth, he's retiring. Now, I remember the last time this happened, and everyone was like celebrating. No, it's like the Emperor getting thrown down the shaft in Return of the Jedi. Everyone was glad that he was gone. No, thank God, somebody else for once. But then this year was sort of like the Emperor in Rise of Skywalker, in that it was horrible and forced and, just generally bad. And I was going to say straight up, bro really threw away his marriage and his family with a supermodel wife, might I add, to go sub 500 in the regular season, to have press conferences where he looked like the skin was falling off his face, and to somehow win your division because either the division was terrible or the NFL couldn't bear to have Tom Brady miss the playoffs after he came out of retirement, only to get bounced by a team that has been notorious for losing in the playoffs since the turn of the millennium in the Dallas Cowboys. So overall, I'm just going to sum it up real quick. I don't buy it. I am going to be inclined to believe I am going to keep my guard up when it comes to Tom Brady until either he is in the broadcast booth, and even then, that's a maybe, or if he shows up on TV and he's got a bit of a gut. If he looks out of shape the next time he appears on TV, then I'll kind of believe he's done. If he looks like he's taken a bite of meat or is taken in any more than like 500 calories in a week, I will be inclined to believe that Tom Brady is done. But again, like, this might just be a thing because his contract is up. Whoever is in charge of his PR has been doing a fantastic job, whoever that is. I mean, because maybe this drives up interest, having the great Tom Brady come out of retirement. But I feel like everyone's sort of sick of it at this point. I mean, the guy's 45. And the main talking point when he came out of retirement last year after 2 weeks was, what more do you have to prove? Honestly, what more do you have to prove in your career? You have more Super Bowl championships than any other franchise in NFL history. Like, the list on, like, most Lombardi trophies, most rings. Number 1 is Tom Brady with 7, and then number 2 are the New England Patriots and the Pittsburgh Steelers, each with 6. That's ridiculous. How could, and I get that he has like that Michael Jordan thing to him where he is just addicted to winning. He's just addicted to the game. And I know that can be said about every athlete. I mean, I could walk around campus and ask one of the basketball players, "Hey, how much do you love the game?" They'll be like, "Oh yeah, I love the game." But it's to an extra degree with Tom Brady. Like, guys like Brady, who are just obscene when it comes to their amount of dedication to the game. Again, dude, the guy was 45 years old. 45. And you know what? If this is it for Brady, again, obviously, greatest quarterback of all time. I do not care what Patrick Mahomes has done in the last 5 years. He's got to do this for at least another 10 to even get thrown into the GOAT conversation. But Brady came in, 6th-round pick. Everybody knows the story. 6th-round pick. Drew Bledsoe gets taken out by the Jets because, of course, he is. As of course, it's the Jets who unleashed the greatest nightmare they will ever experience into the league. They opened the Pandora's box. Brady goes in, wins the 3 Super Bowls in 4 years, then goes on a bit of a hiatus in terms of like winning, gets bounced in the wild card round, divisional round, including one of the Jets. And I just want to say 2 Super Bowls lost to Eli Manning and the New York Football Giants. Just want to put that in there. I was going to dig at that. But Brady then comes back, builds himself another dynasty. The guy's literally had 2 separate Hall of Fame careers. If you split his career in half, the first half is a Hall of Fame career, and the second half is also a Hall of Fame career. In the latter half of his career, he won more rings. After he turned 37, the guy won 4 Super Bowls. And I don't care how much of that was due to Belichick or how much of that was due to the receivers he had in Tampa Bay. If you win 7 Super Bowls and you hold every single major passing record and you play for as long as you do at that high of a level on that consistent of a basis, it's longevity combined with efficiency at an obscene rate. And clutch, you want to talk about clutch. I mean, dude, Brady, nobody did it like Brady. And I came to this conclusion a few years ago. He's the greatest quarterback of all time. The greatest. And again, don't care. Tuck rule, I don't care. Like, yes, the Tuck rule, yeah, but like everyone talks about the outside factors that had to do with Brady winning his championships. Every quarterback who has multiple rings has external factors work in their favor, including the ones who like sort of are outliers, like Jim Plunkett. Or like Jim Plunkett or Ken Stabler had 2 Super Bowl wins. One of those guys on the Raiders. Because they were playing on great teams. They had luck. Like they had something go their way. Terry Bradshaw. I mean, you want to talk about great teams. Steel Curtain. Lynn Swann and Len Stallworth. Franco Harris. God rest his soul. Terry Bradshaw, 4 Super Bowls. That wasn't all him. Joe Montana. Again, you want to talk about great teams and great systems. Bill Walsh. Jerry Rice. The greatest receiver who will ever step foot on this planet. Guys like John Taylor, Dwight Clark, guys like that. And of course, other external things that happened. Joe Montana certainly didn't win those 4 rings on his own. Also, guys who won 3. Troy Aikman. Again, want to talk about great teams. The 90s Cowboys. Emmitt Smith, Michael Irvin. Like, you thought Tony Romo and Dak Prescott's offensive lines were great in the mid-2010s. Those were 5 Pro Bowlers. Troy Aikman had 5 Hall of Famers on that offensive line. On top of Michael Irvin, who's a top 5 receiver ever. And Emmitt Smith, who's a top 5 running back ever. And again, as much as I want to go here, Eli Manning, the 2 Super Bowls, again, they were called miracle runs for a reason. Again, in 2007, the Giants maybe don't go to the Super Bowl if it isn't for Tony Romo and Brett Favre throwing those interceptions. Like, if Tony Romo converts on that touchdown drive in the divisional round in Texas Stadium, nobody even talks about the 07 Giants. If it weren't for Brett Favre throwing that interception to Corey Webster, nobody talks about the 07 Giants. The Super Bowl, funnily enough, the Super Bowl and the wild card round against Tampa Bay in 2007 were the most in control that the Giants were during that run. And in 2011, I mean, the wild card round, yeah, the Giants dominated, but I was at that game. The Falcons made a lot of stupid decisions. Going forward on 4th down twice when they didn't have to. Sneaking in with Matt Ryan. If they couldn't convert on a quarterback sneak on 4th and inches twice, which is one of the most simple things a quarterback can do. But again, Giants convincingly won that game. And then divisional round in Lambeau against the reigning MVP Aaron Rodgers. That was convincing. But the NFC Championship against the 49ers? Kyle Williams muffing that punt and then fumbling the punt again in overtime to set up the game-winning field goal for Lawrence Tynes? Without those factors that I just mentioned, nobody even brings up Eli Manning, and that's not to discredit Eli Manning. I am one of the biggest Eli Manning supporters you will ever see. I am doing this to support Tom Brady. And the argument, or try to debunk the argument that Brady is only great because of all these things that happened. He's only great because of the Tuck rule. He's only great because John Casey kicked it out of bounds. He's only great because Andy Reid doesn't know how to clock manage. He's only great because the Seahawks didn't run the ball at the 1 yard line. He's only great because Kyle Shanahan and Matt Ryan were idiots in 28-3. He's only great because they played Jared Goff in the Super Bowl. He's only great because Patrick Mahomes didn't have an offensive line, or he had Mike Evans and Chris Godwin and Scotty Miller and Antonio Brown and Gronk in Tampa Bay. Every all-time great quarterback has external factors to why they won championships. And Brady just happened to convert on all of those chances. Whenever a team made a mistake against Tom Brady, they made it count. Like, Tom Brady made sure to make them pay for their mistakes. Whenever he got breaks, he took advantage of them. Every quarterback gets breaks. And yes, the roughing the passer rules have coddled certain quarterbacks in this day and age. You know, like the greats like Brady and Mahomes and Rodgers, and now Tua, because he's gotten like 5 concussions in the last year. And guys like Joe Burrow, who got their knees shredded in half in their rookie year. Yes, I know there is favoritism in officiating when it comes to hits on quarterbacks. I've seen Daniel Jones get leveled out of bounds and not have a single flag get thrown. I think I've only seen 1 flag get thrown on a late hit on Daniel Jones. But, again, Brady happened to just take advantage of these factors nearly every single time. And I'm sorry, I don't want to sound like I'm riding the guy, but I'm just trying to be as objective as I can. Well, I'm not being objective. Well, I don't know if I am being objective. I don't know how much I'm sticking to the facts here. I'm just making a point that I think is factual. Every all-time great has external influences on how their careers go. Every person who's successful has external influences in their lives. And Brady's just another case of that, plain and simple. All right, I think that's enough about Brady. Sorry, I didn't plan to go on that big monologue. One thing I want to talk about, I guess we can talk about the conference championship games, which I'm going to be honest, I don't think I've paid less attention to conference championship games in my life. Like, I caught like bits and pieces of the AFC game, but honestly, like, that day was just so hectic for me. Like, I went to the basketball game against Quinnipiac, which was one of the greatest sporting events I've been to. Being down 17 at half. I mean, I don't know what Patino did in the locker room at half, but I like I said, like, I would have killed to be a fly on the wall in that room. Like, whatever adjustments he made were amazing. And it worked out. The Gales came back down 17 to beat a team that honestly thrashed them by like 30 over the winter break. And the NFC game, I don't really know what else to say. I mean, the Eagles just, and I'm not trying to say this to like discredit them or anything, because again, external factors and all. I don't think I have seen a team have an easier path to the Super Bowl, like in the playoffs, in my life. In the divisional round, they played a Giants team that punched above their weight all year. They had great coaching, great coaching. Again, love where the Giants are going, but they just weren't ready to take on the heavyweights of the NFC. And the Eagles went up against a team that a Dave Gettleman mostly built roster and beat them handily like they should have. And then they went up against the 49ers, who I think if Purdy didn't get hurt, I think that game does end up a little closer. But again, going up against a fourth string quarterback in the NFC Championship game, that game should be over by halftime. And it was. And it was. I don't feel like I needed to watch all of that. I feel like I summed it up pretty well. The AFC game, honestly, like all people can talk about when it comes to the AFC game is the late hit call on Mahomes and how that really, like that whole controversy, like I mentioned before about quarterbacks being favored when it comes to hits, and how trigger happy refs are to pull flags out of their pockets and throw them out there. With Mahomes, in that game, it was a close game, really close game. I'm really back and forth. I'm not gonna lie, I was pulling for the Bengals, but after all of the things that happened with like the mayor of Cincinnati like going in, like running their mouths as much as they are, it honestly kind of made the Bengals deserve it. And also Eli Apple is on their team, and whenever Eli Apple like doesn't succeed, an angel gets its wings. So like the um again, anyways, back to the late hit. That call, not a good call. Not a good call, at least in my opinion. But you ask me, I think the Chiefs get down the field anyways, because again, this is Patrick Mahomes we are talking about. The guy who could finish his career as the greatest quarterback to ever play. So I thought, you have Travis Kelce. Like, you can just run a 10-yard out with Travis Kelce, and he gets that. And I don't recall if they had a timeout or not by that time. Well, I don't know. This is Andy Reid, who like never uses his timeouts. So we could theorize that if it was a play over the middle of the field, they wouldn't have had enough time to go up and spike the ball. But honestly, and I'm hearing a lot of stuff about how like there's a legit conspiracy theory out there now, how the NFL is apparently rigged, which anyways, I think that theory is stupid, but the theory honestly kind of piques my interest in a way because, like, and I'm saying this as like a mass comm major, even though I am a freshman, I haven't really gotten in any of like the big time like specific classes, but I feel like if enough people start to question a multi-billion-dollar American institution such as the NFL and people start to question the legitimacy of that, that could cause a lot of ripple effects. Now, it interests me, like, if this, like, so far, it's only one city, it's only one fan base that's crying that the NFL is rigged. If I was a Bengals fan, I would personally tell the rest of my fan base to shut up because it's just making us look like a bunch of whiny babies. They're acting the same way Saints fans did after the no call on the supposed pass interference, which in and of itself is that turned a lot of people off of the Saints and all that. Oh, would you look at that? I just opened up to where the Arena Football League is coming back, which that's awesome. I like that spring leagues are showing up again. Like the XFL, the USFL, even though I don't watch those leagues because in the spring I'm worried about, baseball. I'm worried about pulling my hair out over the Yankees, and I'm worried about hopefully I'll be pulling my hair out over some New Jersey Devils playoff hockey, which at this point in the year, All-Star break, Devils have the third best record in the league, a thing that I never thought I would say ever again. But anyways, we do move, but again, like the USFL. I mean, it's great, like for cities who are, and I feel like they're doing it better this time. At least with the XFL, they're going to cities that are either jaded with their current NFL teams or have had NFL teams relocated, but they still have like a base for the NFL there, like St. Louis, which went perfectly for the XFL before COVID hit. Like the first incarnation of the XFL died because Vince McMahon was stupid. The second incarnation of the XFL sort of died because of COVID, and now the third incarnation of the XFL, which is the first incarnation not headed by Vince McMahon, but another sort of WWE superstar and The Rock. I'm thinking things are gonna go well. I don't know, just some random rambling here and there. I don't know how much I'm going to talk about the Super Bowl matchup because there still is around a week and a half worth of things to go through in terms of this game. And like, there's always drama that comes up beforehand. But I do love the story of Andy Reid going up against the Eagles in the Super Bowl, the team that chucked him away and the fan base that could not stand him for the better part of 2 decades. So that's going to be fun to watch. Now, I am very much looking forward to some controversy when it comes to that. A thing I did kind of want to touch on here is that he's probably going to break it within the next like week. But LeBron is like he's a couple games away from breaking the NBA all-time scoring record. Now, I barely talk about basketball on here. It's like me personally, I don't really care about basketball, even though I live in an area that bleeds basketball when it comes to the Knicks and the Nets, who have downright just psychologically tortured the locals around here. I never really cared that much for basketball because I already had my hands full with the Giants, Devils, and Yankees. Already drove me nuts enough. Why put the Knicks? Why get worked up over the Knicks when I'm already getting worked up over 3 other teams that at the time were not very well run? But I just wanted to talk about like LeBron for a second and like his legacy, and because I swear I feel like I'm the only person who doesn't love him to death or passionately hate him. But when I think of LeBron, like in terms of NBA history, he is going to be the first representative on the NBA's Mount Rushmore who played in the era of player individualism and a lack of loyalty to a franchise that LeBron sort of started when he dipped from Cleveland to go to Miami. And it really kicked off this player-centric sort of liquid league where players were getting moved constantly. Superstars were going somewhere else every year. I mean, this day and age, NBA Hall of Famers are going to be playing for like 5, 6 teams. Like, sure, you have guys like Giannis Antetokounmpo who are loyal to their team. Like, Giannis is an outlier in this era where he has spent his entire career with Milwaukee. Think about guys like Steph Curry who are outliers, who spent their entire career with the Warriors. Again, like thinking Klay Thompson. Again, even though he was sort of his Scottie Pippen, but Klay Thompson spent his entire career with the Warriors. But if you think about the guys who are really going to be the all-time greats of this generation, LeBron James, drafted by Cleveland, went to Miami, won 2 rings, went back to Cleveland, won a ring, got bodied by the Warriors in every other year, and then went to the Lakers where he's sort of finishing out his career. And then when he's done with the Lakers, he's going to go to whatever team drafts his kid. So that's, I don't know, like LeBron, like say what you will about LeBron, but his legacy is really the one of the first of its kind, where he influenced a generation of superstar basketball players to go from team to team to team. And in terms of like where he ranks all time, I personally rank him second behind Jordan. Like I will always rank him second behind Jordan unless this Victor Wembanyama kid ends up becoming one of the greatest players ever. But like people say, "Oh, LeBron did it for so long." But when I think of the NBA greatest player of all time debate, one debate that comes to my mind, and I was thinking about it like during history class. Like I was sort of daydreaming a bit. And I was thinking, this is very, very similar to the greatest goalie of all time debate in the NHL, where the argument is like Dominic Hasek is mostly the consensus number one, but people bring up like Marty Brodeur, and that is who I really compare LeBron James to. Like, I really think his legacy is similar to that of Marty Brodeur's, where he was amazing for 20 years. But Dominic Hasek had a prime that was so obscenely dominant that it sort of just wipes it out, where it's like, yeah, Marty was great, but look what Dominic Hasek did. Now, like the rings argument in the NHL, it's flipped because Marty Brodeur won 3 cups and went to 5 finals, or went to 5. And Hasek only really went to 1 and only won a couple of. Well, no, Hasek went to 4, I believe, and he won. No, Hasek went to. Wait a second. I'm thinking Hasek joined the Red Wings in the early 2000s. He won with them in 02. Then he was still on the Red Wings in 08, where he won with them. Yeah. That checks out. So that is really like what I link together in terms of like LeBron's comparison, in terms of like how I relate to it. All right. So, anyways, I want to touch on the NHL trade deadline for a second because there are some things that are happening, and this is what I'm really going to close with. The Islanders traded for Bo Horvat. In my opinion, they gave up a tinge much, but with the pace that Horvat is on, I guess it's kind of worth it. The Islanders haven't had a first-round pick in years. They have the worst prospect pool in the league, and they just gave up Aatu Räty and a first-round pick and Anthony Beauvillier, which, in my opinion, at the time I thought it was a bit much, but now that I think about it, I'm like, wait a second. But like what I was thinking, I'm like, this is a cup contender move made by a fringe playoff team that is only getting older. And I guess, and this goes back to my age-old point, hockey GMs are stupid. Like, Lou Lamoriello is like, what, 80? And he's still going around and making moves like this? I don't know. I guess that's the harm of being in a sport where it's the same guys just going from place to place and just switching places. Like there are players, there are coaches and GMs who have had jobs for like 30 years, and then you don't see a rookie head coach pop up at any time. You don't climb up the ladder easily in hockey like you would do in football, where you would be an offensive coordinator and or you would be an assistant and then you'd be like the wide receivers coach, and then you would be the offensive coordinator, and then you would be a head coach. Or in terms of being a GM, you'd be a scout, then you'd be elevated to like a premium scout position, and then you would become like the assistant GM, and then you'd become a GM either in your organization, but most likely somewhere else. So, but like in hockey, it's really difficult. But anyways, one thing that I wanted to bring up was Timo Meyer. Like that's a story that has come up, and an article here said that this is a big story. Like the New Jersey Devils are the team that has been like talked about the most when it comes to Timo Meyer. One, because he fits perfectly. He's a big-bodied power forward who shoots a lot. Really would help this team in the top six. Because like the Devils at this point, it's not that they're looking to be better than teams like Washington and Pittsburgh and like the middle, like the second level of teams. It's not whether they're concerned about being on the level of the Capitals or the Penguins or the Panthers or now the Sabres. Right now, they're on the level of honestly, teams that I put in the level that the Devils are on are the Rangers, and honestly, the Maple Leafs. Because the upper echelon of the Eastern Conference, the moves that the Devils need to make now are moves that will sort of ensure that they are going to that they are being put into the same tier as Carolina, as Boston, and as Tampa Bay. That is the echelon that the Devils need to work to get up to. Oh, I got some buddies back there from the great Iona esports program here. Be sure to give them some love every week. Follow them on Twitch and on all of their social medias at Iona esports. I do a lot of work for them. I'm a broadcaster for them, and I also do some beat writing work for the Ionian that covers them from time to time. So be sure to just give them some love. Esports definitely becoming a big industry in the world. And I would definitely look for Iona esports to become like one of the more a bigger deal in the coming years. I don't know how long it's going to take, but I do believe esports is going to become like a big NCAA sport. But anyways, those are the moves the Devils need to make. It's not about being in the picture. The Devils are in the picture at this point. They are one of the better teams in the Eastern Conference. In my opinion, they are one of the best teams in the East. I mean, look at the schedule. Third best record, or look at the record. I mean, third best record in the NHL. Like Bill Parcells has said, you are what your record says you are. And the advanced stats back it up. Sure, the advanced stats lately haven't been great because John Marino has been hurt, but Vitek Vanacek has stepped up. Sort of checks and balances on this team. And trading for Timo Meyer would definitely put the Devils, at least in the conversation, to be one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference. Because they have a solid core of players. They have Jack Hughes, who at this point is pushing top 10 player in the league levels. He has been insane. 64 points in 49 games. I mean, I'm wearing this guy's jersey for a reason. Well, also it's cold out, and hockey jerseys are very comfortable to wear in the winter. But Jack Hughes, again, one of the elite in the league. And another center, Nico Hischier, he's near a point a game. And the winger, Jesper Bratt, again, for those who know, Jesper Bratt, best player in the NHL. He's great. There's a core of forwards there, and if you add Timo Meier to that core, well, although you honestly, I think my proposed package would be first-round pick, Alex Holtz, and Yegor Sharangovich. Because first-round picks at this point for the Devils are not as valuable. Because they're not going to be picking in the top 10. They're not going to be in the lottery like they have been for the last decade. And they already have enough prospects. They already have 2 defensemen who are pinned as the top pairing for the next 10 to 15 years in Luke Hughes and Simon Nemec. They have forwards like Arseny Griciuk and Graham Clark and other guys who I'm probably not even hearing about because hockey prospects take a long time to develop. But, again, first round pick, Alex Holtz and Yegor Sharangovich. Because Holtz, I love him as a prospect. I really did. I thought he was going to be like a 30-goal scorer. Pair him with Jack Hughes, he would have been amazing. And Sharangovich, because honestly, like as much as I love the wholesomeness of the team, I get how when a team has been this bad for this long, it's easy to get attached to the fun players. But at his core, Yegor Sharangovich is a solid middle 6 forward who's really good on the penalty kill and who's a streaky scorer. You can find that easily. You can call that up from the minors. It's very simple to find middle 6 forwards who can throw the body around on the penalty kill. And Timo Meier, who knows his defensive capabilities if he can go on the penalty kill. No, so that's not to mention guys like Michael McLeod and Jesper Boquist or Nate Bastian who can clean things up sort of defensively, or guys like Tomas Tatar or Nico Hischier, who's, again, one of the better 200-foot centers in the league. He's probably going to be a Selke nominee this year. And for the next 10 years to come, he's going to be a Selke nominee. So, but again, you have to make moves where you have to cut bait with some lovable guys, some fan favorites, in order to contend for the bigger prize. Because when I see fans who are like, no, I don't want to give up Yegor, I don't want to give up Nate Bastian. I don't want to give up Mikey McLeod. They're so cool. They're so awesome. I'm sorry. Those people are not fans. They're stans. There's a difference. And it's very prevalent in the Devils fan base. There are stans and there are fans. So, anyways, I'll leave it at that. Because we're running up on time here. I typically like to keep it to within half an hour. But at the very longest, I like to keep it below 40 minutes here. So, first show of the spring semester in 2023, even though it certainly doesn't feel like spring. It's 30 degrees out. There was snow on the ground this morning. It's snow, a rare sight in the Northeast, in the metropolitan New York area. From New Jersey, I haven't seen a lot of snow. I haven't seen a white Christmas in my life. So, it's sort of nice to see a little bit of snow on the ground. But anyways, fun show, fun, really good to be back in here. And again, from the studios of WIUR at the La Penta Student Union at Iona University, this has been Woolley Mammoth Wednesdays. I'm your host, Cameron Woolley. Take care.